Hi, everybody. um, right now I'm down here in the basement. I got my 308s up here on the bench, and I'm going to be doing a little work to it. Basically, I'm going to be swapping out the standard straight buffer tube for this carbine style one for reasons I hope will be clear here in a minute. First things first, I got to remove the old one, or the stock, and basically go ahead and remove it from the buffer tube. It's got kind of a neat modular design, so it makes it real easy to remove. But on the bottom here, we got some just screws and bolts holding it together, and we're going to be removing those to allow us access to the buffer tube. So while I'm at it, I figured I'd go over some of the design choices I've made with this rifle. Kind of just giving an explanation of what my intended use for it is. And this shouldn't normally be this easy to take apart. But basically just going over what my intended normal everyday use for it, well, not every day, but basically what I intend to use it for is the long and the short of it. And essentially, it's not a sniper rifle. It's not something that you would take out to 1,000 yards by any means. Maximum range for it, I would say, especially with me firing it, will be about 500 yards. That's not real far in the 308 game. I mean, when it comes down to it, they make several 308s that shoot, 1,500 yards accurately. But that's not what this is for. And why I don't have it set up for that is because at the end of the day, mostly my maximum range is going to be within 300 yards. So setting up a rifle for anything beyond that is very labor intensive and kind of can be very very costly. So at the end of the day, it's just not worth it because it's not going to get that much use. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't fields and shooting ranges and all that kind of stuff in Ohio that make it where I could shoot 1,000 yards plus. And I'm also not saying that I wouldn't take a crack at that with this rifle. But really, is it going to be a common everyday thing for me? No, it's not. And honestly, taking 300-yard shots isn't going to be a common everyday thing for me either. So, really, I didn't feel the need to try to stretch it out that far. But, when it comes down to it, I know what it will do reasonably accurately, and I intend to push it to that length, which is, like I said, about 300 yards. Now, I do have places that I can go to shoot 500 yards, and that will be an option in the future, and I do intend to document that. But in the meantime, I'm just going to enjoy the fact that I got a semi-auto that's capable of about 300 to 500 yard shots. Now, when it comes to the fact that it's a semi-auto, the whole point of it is for quick, effective follow-up shots. Now, whenever I build a rifle, I don't like to just build rifles for just because. I want there to be a point to it, basically making it where you're shooting for an effect. And what I mean by that is your bullets are going to do different stuff whenever you fire them out of a rifle. And they're designed to do different stuff when you fire them out of a rifle. So, like, take, for example, if you're going to go target shooting, just straight target shooting, you want a rifle, or you want a bullet that is going to hit the target, and that's it. That's all it's going to do. It doesn't have to do anything other than punch a hole in paper. And the vast majority of your bullets for target shooting are going to be like full metal jackets with maybe a mild hollow point to them. And basically, that's not even for expansion. That's just to move some of the heavier weight to the back of the bullet to give it a little bit more gyroscopic stability. So that's all they're going to do. And I don't really like building guns for that because, or building bullets for that even, because at the end of the day, I like to think that there's going to be a purpose to all this. Like maybe someday, for example, I want to go hog hunting. I want to go shoot a pig. I don't really have any interest in deer hunting or elk or any other animals that you normally go after with the 308 because honestly, I've had deer, I've tasted elk. They're not my thing. Pigs, on the other hand, taste good. I love bacon. I like ham. I like pork chops. I like pork steak. You know, you name it, it's awesome. I love doing it. So I figure, you know, if I'm going to go after an animal, I want to eat something, or I'm going to eat it. And if I'm going to eat it, I want it to be something that I know I love eating. And, well, hogs fill that niche. Now, when it comes to this particular rifle, whenever I came up with the concept, I came up with the concept of shooting hogs with it. So that's really what it's all about. Now, is it optimized for that? Probably not. Is it optimized for my idea of hog hunting? Yeah. Because my idea of hog hunting isn't so much, you know, like there's videos of dudes shooting them from helicopters, stuff like that. I don't want to do that. That's not my idea of a good time. It's definitely not the idea of the hog's good time. So basically, when it comes down to it, if I'm going hog hunting, I want to be out, and I'm not saying I'm like an ultra hunter either. I'm really not. When it comes to hunting, I'm as lazy as you can be. And I mean that literally. Like, I'll find out, like, what time the animal's showing up, and, you know, I'll meet them there later. Like, that's how I want to hunt. And it's like that with hogs. Like, I don't have anything against going out to a farm where they have a feeder set up and getting a group of hogs around it and just, laying into them with a semi-auto. You know, somebody might say, well, that's not really hunting. You're right, it's not really hunting. It's collecting food. That's what I'm into this for. And, you know, while I do admit that the idea of hunting for sport, you know, for the act of hunting, does appeal to me in a large way, it's just not something that I'm going to be into right now. And in the case of this rifle, it's largely going to be a target rifle. I mean, when all's said and done, that's its main purpose, is at the moment just to put holes in paper and leave it at that. So that's what's designed around right at the moment. However, the bullets that I'm going to be using in it are not. The bullets I'm designing are going to be optimized for shooting a pig-sized target at ranges up to, hopefully not exceeding, 300 to 350 yards, and effectively killing them. And when I say effectively, I mean instant, drop to the ground, dead, no squealing, no nothing, just instant death. Because if I'm going to shoot something, I don't want to cause anything pain. I don't want to, I don't want it to be scared. I just want it to be lights out. Because, honestly, if somebody was going to shoot me, that's how I'd want to go. I don't want any of that long-term suffering and, being frightened and stuff. That'd just be horrible. And I'd feel horrible inflicting that on somebody. So, I built basically what I consider to be the gun for that. Now, the reason I'm saying it's not really optimized for 1,000 yards or any of that kind of stuff is because it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, you can shoot a 308 out to 1,000 yards. And you'll probably kill somebody with it if you were to shoot them. But it's not a risk I'm willing to take. So, you know. And when I say somebody, I mean some space body. Meaning hog, elk, deer, whatever. So, yeah. At 1,000 yards, I'm perfectly happy punching paper and leaving it at that. Or shooting steel, whatever. But when it comes to this rifle and actually shooting an animal, well, that's just not, I'm not comfortable stretching it much out past that. Now, this is the buffer tube I just took off of this. Basically all this is the housing that holds in the recoil spring and the buffer. Now you might be wondering, why did you just change that out? Well, if you can see, the end of this stock, or tube, whatever you want to call it, it's made to hook up to an adjustable stock. So, it's got a little notch down here that rides along the rail and it holds it upright. What I was running into whenever I was going into the range is I'd be shooting and getting this flexing one way or the other that allow the gun to cant off to one side or the other. With this, it's going to be vertical and it's held vertical, like it's stuck in that position. So, whenever I reattach the stock and go into tripod mode, which I'm going to show you here in a second, it is comfortably stuck in that position. Now, how does one set up for distance, basically? Like, what's going to make this any different than any other gun I build? Well, I'm going to go over that just as soon as I get this sucker reassembled. You know, the thing of it is, I get a lot of people that might ask, you know, like, why do you need an AR-15? Which this is not an AR-15. Granted, it's a similar pattern, but it's not quite. But they ask, why are AR-15s so popular? You know, why do you need to spray lead downrange like that? And honestly, I don't have a good answer for why you'd want to just spray lead downrange. You know, sometimes it's just fun to do. And I'll admit, there have been the odd car, refrigerator, you know, random kitchen appliance that has felt the wrath of a, you know, dumped magazine of 223 rounds being sprayed towards it. But that's not what I designed most of my guns to do. Case in point, this one. You're not spraying lead with this rifle. It's heavy. This thing weighs probably around 16 pounds. And you're just not carrying it around, and you're not standing there, you know, quick shotting around. This sucker is made to go out, you lay down, you find a comfortable spot, and you take shots off the ground. Called prone, I guess. But basically, you're just gonna relax. Now, what do I mean by tripod mode? Well, you obviously have a bipod here on the front that folds down with two legs. And you might have noticed this weird cylinder right here hanging off of the back of the stock. Well, what that's for is it slightly extends. And then boom, you fold that sucker down and you got yourself a tripod to shoot off of. Gives you more stability, and basically it makes it almost like shooting off of a rest. But, you know, obviously not quite. Now, is it like the ultimate of ultimate setups? No. But it does add a lot of stability, and it helps whenever you're sighting in your scope and shooting down range. Now, you might have noticed this huge scope. This is about 2.5 pounds of that 16-pound weight I was talking about. This sucker weighs a bit. And what that is, it is an X-Sight 4K Pro 3 to 14 power scope. It's entirely digital. There is no sight through on this optic. Basically, you're staring at a little miniature screen right back here in the eyepiece, and this is a camera lens. The point of that is everything inside of here is digital. So, This has night vision mode, just like a video camera. It will record video. It will give you your rifle elevation, basically how high up or low, or the elevation of your barrel, and angle. It also gives you your rifle cant from side to side. And here's where people really get into like, oh, that's cheating. What it will also do is if you hook up a rangefinder to it, it will automatically range the target, take weather readings for basically the environment that you're in, and it will automatically adjust the trajectory of your bullet to match the range that you're firing at. So if I sight this in at 100 yards, set up a rangefinder to it, and have it where it's like, oh, there's a target at 600, there's a target at 300, there's a target at 500. Whatever that range is, all I have to do is hit a button to range it, and this will automatically adjust for that trajectory. Now, like I said, a lot of people say that's cheating. Well, to be cheating, it's still a heck of a lot of work, because what you have to do is you still have to develop accurate rounds. And due to the fact that I reload, I don't find it rewarding to just go buy bullets and throw them into my gun and shoot them and say that's as good as it gets. No, I have to torture myself just a bit, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making ballistic test rounds, usually in batches of 5 to 10. I've made batches of 10 of them, and pretty much what I'm doing is trying out different powder loads with different powders, different bullets, different casing sizes, and then I'm just finding a formula that works well with this rifle. It's a long, drawn-out process. I have friends of mine that reload that have been doing it for 30 years, and they still do it for one particular rifle. Because the thing of it is, if anything breaks on this, like say I shoot it enough to where the barrel gets shot out or something crazy like that, and you replace that barrel, you got to start all over again. So, as I said before, the bullets I'm making, they're made to shoot for effect, which means that if I were to hit something like a hog, pig, whatever, that these are specifically made to shoot that pig and kill it. They're not just made to punch holes in paper. Now you might be able to tell, it's got a little red tip on it. What that is, it's a polymer ballistic tip, which is another reason why these bullets aren't good out to 1,000 yards. There's a very, very, very amazing channel out there, run by an Australian fellow. I think it's Mark and Sam After Work. He's just a mechanic that loves extreme range shooting. He goes over the reasons these bullets are not good for extreme long range. And basically what they are is that little polymer tip, even though it looks cool, and what it's for is once it hits something that actually breaks off, and this bullet will expand like a flower inside of whatever cavity it creates, and it expands and kills that varmint or animal dead, hopefully instantly. It gives you as good of an opportunity to kill something as a bullet can. And that's really the goal. I mean, that's kind of a horrible thing to say out loud, but at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is take each of these bullets and make this bullet perform exactly the same as this bullet, and take that bullet and make it perform exactly the same as that bullet. And you want extreme consistency across every round you fire. You want everyone to act exactly the same. Now, these are very good bullets for 3 to 5 to maybe even 1,000 yards. They're very good bullets for that. But when you get out into super long ranges, that's where they start to fall off just due to weight inconsistency, stuff like that. Now, when it comes to me personally, like I said, I only expect this at a mid-range. Like, I don't expect this to be the end-all be-all of shooting experiences. It's got recoil. It's not smooth. It's, you know, it can do a decently quick follow-up shot if needed, but after a shot, due to recoil, you're still going to have to slightly re-sight and find your target again. It doesn't take much. Like, you're still going to be pretty on target at a reasonable range. But you are going to have to resight and refine your target. So, it's not smooth. You know, it's like, one of the things I like to compare is, like, if you take a good 3-gun competition rifle, some AR that's lightened and it has a lightened bolt and carry assembly and a good trigger, and you know they shave parts out of the receiver to make the receiver lighter, and you get something that weighs 3 ounces and has virtually no recoil. It feels like shooting a child's BB gun. If you equate that to a Ferrari, you know, in the car spectrum, it's a race gun. It's made to take out, shoot, then put back into a case and take home. Ferrari, you take it out for a drive, put it back in the garage. You had fun. That was the point. If you compare a race gun to that, this in the car spectrum would be like a Camaro. It's got some performance. It's modified a little bit, maybe. In my case, a little bit. But you can drive to work every day. I'm gonna take this out. If I bang it into a tree or drop it in a mud puddle or fall in some water, submerge it in a creek, whatever, it's not gonna affect the performance too much. Now on the flip side of that, like I said, it's got some recoil to it. If, you know, when I fire it, you know, it's not gonna cycle as fast. It's not gonna be quite as accurate as something that's so super finely tuned. All I can do is basically make this as accurate as possible with both internal parts and external parts, such as the bullets I fired through it and the parts I use inside of it. Now, on that note, much like a Camaro, it is still sort of a budget rifle. I mean, it doesn't have top quality parts in it. Basically, like, for example, this barrel. This barrel was $150. I got it from Anderson Manufacturing. It works. And honestly, out to about 500 yards, it works very well. This muzzle brake that's on the end of it here, which I'm not even sure you can see. This muzzle brake actually came from a Chinese company that honestly does knockoffs of American muzzle brakes. This stock back here that's oh so fancy and beautiful, same exact Chinese company that made that muzzle brake. These bipod legs, they're UTGs. They're not, you know, they're good. They're sturdy. I've fired off of them quite a bit and never had a problem with them. But, you know, UTG's not a company that's known for being rock sturdy, you know. This handle, this grip, is an airsoft grip. It functions exactly the same as an actual rifle grip, and it's got a palm shelf on it. Those kind of went out of style back in the 1980s. I'm not going to lie to you. The only reason I got that palm shelf and that grip is because I like the way they look. They feel good. They are functional. They make my hand line up with the trigger and everything in a way that I find pleasing. And the way it makes my hand feel secure on the grip is wonderful. But I got it because I like the way it looked. That's literally it. The only piece that I've actually sort of compromised on as far as price is the scope. The scope was expensive. I'm not going to lie. You're not going to get this cheap. I mean, this is a lot of technology packed into a very small frame. I think I paid a little over $600 for this scope, and I don't regret it at all. Like I said, it's got night vision. It comes with an infrared illuminator, which I don't actually have on the bench with me right now. But it comes with an here it is. It comes with an infrared illuminator, which is basically like a flashlight that you can't see with the naked eye. Came with that. Has an 18-hour battery on it, plus all the features I said. It works great. It's been worth the money so far. I've really enjoyed using it. I used to shy away from any kind of digital or electrical equipment on my rifles just because I always thought, well, you know, if I'm out in the middle of nowhere, it stops working. That's the end of it all. My mentality on a lot of this stuff has really changed lately due to the type of shooting that I do. And that's really what's kind of guided this rifle. I didn't cheap out on stuff that I thought really mattered. Now the barrel, I'm not gonna lie, the barrel, I got it because it was the last one of the production. They made me a really good deal on it, and I've been looking at it for quite a while, and I figured I'd give it a shot. It was 150 bucks. If it's terrible, I'll get another barrel. I might build another 308, throw that on it, and just use it to burn ammo. You never know. But other than that, I went for parts that I put the money where it matters in a sort of way. Like, for example, the muzzle brake. This muzzle brake performs great. I've never had a problem with it. It reduces recoil by an insane amount. It is a Chinese copy, but as long as it doesn't explode whenever you shoot it, I call that a win. And it reduces recoil. Same as this stock. I cannot for the life of me remember what stock this is based off of. But it's sturdy, it's fully adjustable, it's got height adjustment on the cheek rest, forward and back adjustment, and the shoulder pad is adjustable up and down, and that's come in handy quite a bit. So, just because awkward offhand, or not offhand, but awkward like shooting off a table, you can adjust it to where your cheek mold or cheek weld is still good, but your shoulder placement might be a little off. It's very handy. That was 125 bucks. Now, again, same Chinese place. Now, the thing about that is I probably would have been willing to pay a little bit more for this because it does sort of have a feel to it where if you really banged it against something, it would probably break, especially, like I said, the monopod that's stuck on the back here. Like, if you really, really whacked it against something, it probably would break off. But here's the thing. I don't do any of that stuff. Like, I take this out, I lay down in a field, I shoot. I pick it up, put it back in the bag, go home. If I'm backpacking out to go hunting, this rifle is going to be in a bag that I'm literally using as a backpack. I mean, it's not going to be out getting banged around. I'm not walking through downtown Chicago or Iraq. I'm not expecting to have to deploy this rifle in a split second and shoot away. I have rifles for that I might take with me when I'm going to shoot this one. But what this is for is, oh, there's going to be hogs at that feeder later. I'm going to set up a few hundred yards out where I know they're not going to be seeing me. And I'm going to pick out the one I want, pop it off. If the rest of them don't run, maybe shoot 2 or 3 more. I got 500 pounds of meat in my freezer thanks to this rifle. That's what this is for. If I was going to designate it in military terms, I would call it a designated marksmanship rifle. Slightly more accurate than a regular AR, slightly less accurate than a sniper rifle. Well, much more less accurate than a sniper rifle. But that's what it's for. Now, my overall worry with any rifle that I build, in this case, it was largely accuracy. At 100 yards, this is capable of shooting less than an inch group. So I'm happy about that. It's not quite cutting cloverleaf patterns. It's not sticking all 5 rounds in one hole. But, I mean, honestly, that could be partially to me, too. I haven't shot in a while. This is the first gun I've built lately. I need practice. This is a good gun to do it with. So, that's where I'm at. That's what it's for. Just mid-range shots. But, secondly, it is purely functionality. I need to know that at any given point in time, if I am out shooting, nothing on here is going to break. That's one of the main things to worry about. Another reason why I've shied away from electronics so much is because, well, you get them wet, whatever, they can break. But in this case, I was willing to take a little bit of a risk on that because this scope, for all of its technological intricacies, it'll stand up to some rain and stuff. This rifle will go through more punishment than I'm willing to put myself through. So, like, if it's raining, if it's snowing, whatever, mud, this will function. And I'll be going home. I don't I don't want to be cold. I don't want to be muddy. I don't want to be getting blasted in the face by sand. If I'm out in the conditions where this rifle's going to break, I'm probably already dead. So, yeah. That's kind of why I made a lot of the choices I made. For example, you know, I could have saved weight in areas, like gone with a light and bolt and carrier assembly, for example, or more skeletonized, but I wanted some sturdiness built in. So, and honestly, the lighter these things get, the more punishing the recoil. So, that's why I made most of the decisions that I made with on this. And, you know, most of the mods I'm going to be doing on it, if any more, are going to be just to make it more sturdy and more robust. So, that's where we're at. And that's kind of why I built it the way I did. Now, if you have any more questions about it, feel free to leave something in the comments. And, you know, on the off chance anybody actually watches any of these, I'll answer any questions anybody's got. But, yeah. So that's where I am with this. That's why I built it the way I did, and that's why it looks the way it looks. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you next time, where, honestly, this is probably going to go back in the closet because I got this shoulder stock nice and tightened up the way I want it. So, next up, I'm going to be working on basically the little sister to this thing, and I'll show you that as soon as I get around to building. Talk to you later. Bye.